Time now to do the news.
Yes, news.
Yes, it is the news. Now, for people who think that there is just literally too much room in the back of a standard Mini, don't worry, because there is now a coupe. There it is.
Oh!
Any details? I can tell you
It's between 18 and 24,000 pounds, and the top model has 208 horsepower.
Now, a lot of people have been talking about its roof, unsurprisingly. Many themselves say it's styled to look like a baseball cap being worn backwards.
Why would I want that as my roof?
I think this is a car that probably at night when you leave it entertains itself by spitting at the elderly. They should have called it the lout.
The slob. It'll steal
The
its own wheels and put itself on bricks.
I like the idea of the slob.
Anyway, before we do the news properly, there's something I need to explain. Very, very keen viewers may have noticed that this hour-long programme, Top Gear, is sometimes 62 or even 63 minutes long. But this week, BBC Two have told us it must be 59 minutes. No ifs or buts. On the nose. In fact, all the programmes on BBC Two tonight must be exactly to length because they're going at 10 o'clock live to the MotoGP race.
Yes.
I'm not interested in bike racing.
Well, that's hardly relevant, is it? Just because you're not interested in something doesn't mean that the BBC should deny all the people who are the opportunity of seeing it.
Bike racing only works on YouTube.
What?
Well, you just see the crashes and then...
Oh, don't be sick!
Hands up if you want to see bike racing. 2. So about 8% of the population need to get a move on.
Yes, they do, and I am one of them, and so is James, so we're going to press on and start with the news. News of an event coming up, the Chumley Pageant of Power.
The what?
Chumley Pageant of Power.
Oh, well, that's excellent. We're the world's biggest motoring show, everybody, and we begin the news with an item about a village fete.
No, it's like a northern Goodwood Festival of Speed.
So a Goodwood with pies and gravy.
No! Anyway, the point is, there's going to be a car at it I wanted to show you. It's this. It's called the Brutus. Yeah, it's magnificent. Basically, it's a 1908, I think it is, BMW chassis, made in the 1920s, and it's got a 46-litre 12-cylinder aeroplane.
46 litre?
46-litre 12 cylinders. I've got a shot of the engine. Here's the actual engine out.
Holy! It's like a Turner painting with steam, speed and fire.
It's magnificent.
I'm going to send that to Greenpeace so they can hang it up in their foyer.
Yeah. They love it, actually, because it does 0.18 miles to the gallon.
Yeah. You're kidding. Yeah. I mean, I love the engine, but what fascinates me about old cars like this is why people feel compelled to get into period costume before driving them. I mean, you live in a 1970s house. Do you feel the need to wear a shirt from the 19s? Yes. He does, actually, yes.
He is. Attention, morons everywhere. Mercedes have a new hardcore AMG version of one of their cars. It's from their especially ridiculous range of black editions.
Oh, now, I'm sorry, this is a car for connoisseurs.
No, it's a car for...
Yes, it is. It's for people who know the difference, for example, between Sweden and Finland.
Yes, all right.
This is the new black edition of the C-Class, OK? It'll cost you £110,000. It's got the old 6.2-litre V8, tuned version of that, rather than the twin-turbo AMG engines of today. You also get the 7-speed flappy paddle gearbox from an SLS, not so good. But I think it looks
ridiculous.
It's fantastic.
I think it looks infantile.
It does.
James, you are so old, you think Werther's Originals are infantile.
Can I just clarify this a little bit? He has got the old CLK Black.
Yes, I do.
And you do. And I went in it the other day.
And you loved it.
I hated it. It's ridiculous. The ride is stupid. It's like being in a touring car.
What's wrong with that?
No, nothing at all. If you're, I don't know, let's say, in a touring car race. If you want to use it, let's imagine, on a road in, let's say, the world, it's absolutely stupid. It's a terrible, terrible car.
You may mock.
Thank you. It's ridiculous.
The fact is that the CLK Black is holding its value a lot better than, I don't know, 911s that you two have, because they only sold 100 of them.
Yes, they did. They would have sold many more, but most of the people that turned up to buy them were wearing those jackets that do up at the back. Do you know? And they'd only been out for the day. I want one of those! I want one of those! Like that.
Yeah, they had eaten the pens that you're supposed to use to fill the options for.
It's a stupid car.
It is a stupid car.
It's a ridiculous... Oh, don't feel sorry for him. Look at the wheel arches on it. It's just...
Now, have you noticed how some of the best-looking cars you can buy these days are like ordinary family saloons or hatchbacks or
Oh, I know what you mean.
estates?
Yeah,
I mean, Citroen
everyday
sent us a
car.
picture of their new DS5. Okay, that is a good-looking, sort of ordinary mid-sized car.
Every day, but
And
good looking.
It's not alone. What's that Kia called from a while back? The Rooney, not the Rooney. Rio. That was an awful-looking car, but then they've now launched this, which is called the something or other.
The Optic, isn't it?
Optima.
Optima. Doesn't matter. Nobody who watches Top Gear is going to buy a Kia, but if they did, that would be. Yeah, all Kia drivers are watching Countryfile on the other side, going, "It's Adam's farm in a minute. We're looking forward to that." Oh, look at the little bar lamb.
Oh, make a trail for what's on the other side. Why not?
Countryfile's a brilliant show.
Good, I know.
Particularly when it's cold and Julia Bradbury's out in a
Leave
t-shirt.
it! Leave it!
The Peugeot 508 is a good-looking car as well, isn't it?
It is. No, we've got a picture of it here. Because what makes that particularly good is that Peugeots in recent years have had these sort of the big guppy mouths on them. Yes, that.
Yes.
That is a very good impersonation of a Peugeot. No, that's what they used to be. I can only impersonate a Morgan.
Huh?
Can you do any other car?
No, I can only do Peugeots, but I can do any Peugeot you name. 308?
207. What's the people carrier? Can you do that one?
Yeah, hang on, that's...
I'll stump him. You know the tiny little one, the 1007 with the electric sliding doors?
Oh. It's exactly like that.
And then there's the Vauxhall Insignia. I was following one of those the other day. That's basically a Vectra.
Yeah, fabulous.
Really good. And the great thing about it is it's got positive camber on its back wheels.
Well, you've got positive camera and you look ridiculous.
He's right, actually.
Oh, you have? You have? Well, we've followed you around every airport in the world, and you lumber along with your stupid legs bending out of the knee like that. It's like positive camber, and you look terrible.
Looks good, positive camber.
Does it?
He's right.
You
You
look
look
awful.
like a knackered Spitfire.
Yeah.
Spitfires are cool.
No, a Triumph Spitfire.
They're not
Leaky
cool.
old Triumph. I'm assuming that's oil that's leaking out of it.
It's because I'm set up for handling.
You're set up.
If you could find a 100-metre track that did that, I could beat Usain Bolt. 'Cause I can run down corners.
So you're claiming you've been set up for cornering?
Well, you can shut up. You look like a car that's had its wheels nicked. Pregnant.
No. No, not risk. Yeah, I mean, yours is coming.
Yes, this is all right. So you know when I'm pregnant. And you go for a scan and they're able to tell whether it's a boy or a girl. Yeah. Well, a very kind lady has sent us a photograph of a scan that she's had done of her forthcoming arrival, and it seems to suggest she's giving birth to a stig. Look here.
Oh, she is? Oh, look! Look! All curled up. That's nice.
We're a bit worried about this because we've told him time and again to stop impregnating people.
It is all...
He made Michael Gambon pregnant twice.
It was twice. For consolation, it'll probably be a fairly quick birth, I imagine.
Well, unless he comes out sideways. Now, can I just say, as we know, birds sometimes defecate on your car. And at this time of year, that's very bad for the paintwork because the lacquer is soft. What?
Where are you going with this, mate?
Where I'm going is this. A bird defecated on my car this week.
Well, that's terrible. To be fair, that's not that unusual, mate. It'll have happened to people here.
Not like this. OK, I've brought an iPad here. I know how they work, of course. Here is the bird.
Yes, it's some bird poo on your back window.
Now, that's a significant quantity of bird poo, would you not? You'd say that's a big bird that did that. Look at this. He gets to there and you think, it must be the end. That is a metre of faeces! What bird can do a metre of faeces? I'm 2 metres tall and I can't do a metre of faeces.
Hang on, you live in Oxfordshire. You've got
Yes.
there are those red kites there, and they are big birds.
They are big birds and they are carnivores. Now, I examined this faeces and there were 7 cherry stones in it.
Well, maybe it had a field mouse in a cherry jus in Oxfordshire.
It didn't. If the cherry stones were in its gut, it must have eaten the cherry whole, which means it must have had a mouth like a Peugeot. What kind of bird can have a gallon of guano in its gut and still take off and achieve sufficient altitude to defecate on my Range Rover?
Big one.
Maybe it was a flying cow.
What?
James, you really do live in Hammersmith, don't you?
We should bear in mind this is the man who believes cows lay eggs. And he does. He said that on the show. You said that.
I said eggs come from cows.
When did you see that?
Can I just say, I want to have a competition on this. If anybody can find a bigger piece of bird dirt than that on
God.
their car, take a photograph and send it to us at Top Gear London, where are we? W127TS. Mark your envelope. You really are plumbing new depths this week.
Well, you are. It is. It's called the V12 Zagato. There it is. And, James, you'll be particularly interested in this, mate, I think.
Will I?
Yeah, you will. You will. Because the boss of the company was quoted this week as saying, the Nürburgring is where we sign off every new quoting, and there can be no better place for the new V12 Zagato to be finally tested, said the boss of Aston Martin.
For crying out loud. Do you know what? If I'd been in Bomber Command in 1943, I would have bombed the Nürburgring every single night until it was gone. Am I the only person who thinks like this?
This bad back of yours, would you say it makes you a bit crabby?
There's nothing to do with that bad back. He's got a bad back as well, but he won't agree with me about it.
Okay.
Ride is important.
All right.
Bomb it! It was a bad policy. Look where we are now. We no longer have Dresden Cathedral or all that lovely pottery, but we do have the Nürburgring, and under my bombing policy, we wouldn't have cars that rode badly, and you'd have a nice cathedral to look at and better saucers.
Move on.
Yes, let's move
Yes.
on. Now, we have been sent by a viewer a copy of a motorcycling magazine from 1976. We have a picture of it here, the front cover. Sort of thing you love, that, isn't it, James?
Lovely.
What distressed us greatly was there was an advertisement on the back page for some leathers, and it was the model that was being used that has terrified us. Here it is. Now, don't say that isn't you, look!
1976. Is that 1976?
1976.
There is no point denying that it's you because he's wearing brown shoes. It's got to be you.
It is you. You looked exactly the same in 1976 as you. When were you born?
I was only 12.
You weren't, though, were you? You know, I've speculated many, many, many times over the years on what sort of a man appears as a model in leather.
Yeah. You've let the motorcycling side down there badly.
We have more news. A few weeks ago, I held a small birthday party for the E-Type Jaguar.
Yes, I recall. It was subtle.
Somebody else is having one at Silverstone the weekend of July the 22nd, and they say 1,000 E-Types will be there. I think what they mean is 1,000 E-Types will attempt to be there.
Yeah. On that particular day, 1,000 E-Types will try and start.
Yeah, some E-Types will be there.
Maybe.
Why will they be there, though, really? I've never understood that. So you drive hundreds of miles in your car to look at some cars that are exactly the same as the car that you just drove there in.
Well, is there anyone here from a car owners club? You are? And this is which club?
Marlin.
The what?
Marlin.
That's Marlin.
That's a fish.
That's a very lonely... No, it's a very lonely owners club, that. He goes and stands in a field all by himself. Is anybody here from a car club that's got more than one member? What? Renault Clio Owners Club?
How can there be an owners club for that?
Do you go and meet and stand in fields? Car parks?
Oh, well, I want to join.
Well, I've got a Renault
I'm
Clio.
up for that.
So have I! Any other
bloody
car
big
makers
car
here? Anyone from the MG Owners Club?
Well, not here, obviously.
No, honestly, that's a good point. They won't be here. They'll be on the A3 going, oh, no. I wonder, sometimes, do people who are MG enthusiasts buy them hoping they break down? They do, don't they? They think, that way I can get underneath it and get my fingernails all dirty.
No, because if you think, if all they wanted to do was drive around in an open-top two-seater, they'd buy a Mazda MX-5, because that just is always going to work.
Exactly. I think they're mad. It's like being an amateur vet and saying, I'm going to deliberately buy a dog that's poorly in the hope it goes wrong and I can fix it.
And we start with news you may have heard of this week. A new flying car has been announced. Costs £150,000. Here's a shot of it in the air. That's what it looks like as an aeroplane. And here's a shot of it on the ground. It's just a crumpled aeroplane, isn't it? It just comes pre-crashed.
There's an even bigger problem I've thought of, which is, I think everybody knows, James, you do have a light aircraft. And before you take off, you have to do pre-flight checks.
Well, a few, yeah.
What are they?
Hey?
Well, you have to check the fuel that it
Why?
hasn't got any
Why do you
moisture
check the
in
fuel?
it. Hasn't got water in it.
How would Walter get in
Oh,
the
we
fuel?
haven't got time for this.
I'm very interested.
No, we haven't got time
It's
for
only
this.
bike racing.
Yes.
James, tell me more about your pre-flight check.
No, just...
Actually, you know what? Even I would rather watch bike racing than listen to James talk about his pre-flight
exactly.
checks.
So get off.
My CLK, Mercedes.
Stupid car. This stupid wheel arch.
You may think it's stupid, but it's very determined, OK? My CLK, it said, one day when I got in it, 24 days until the next service. Now, I mentioned this on the programme a year ago, OK? And I thought, I wonder what will happen if I take it to 25 days. Because its German brain won't be able to compute the fact that somebody has disobeyed a direct order. OK? Thing was, on the 24th day or whenever it was, Mercedes turned up while I was out and took it away for a service, which really annoyed me. Good news. Yesterday, it suddenly said, 9 days until service due. Brilliant. What I've done this time is I've parked it in a London Underground garage, and I'm not going to tell anybody which one. Because I want to see what happens when it goes to -1.
No, that's dangerous. It could panic. Like a horse in the 70s going mad! Or it's probably already been building a glider so it can escape.
I think that's why I've put it in an underground car park and not a multi-storey, so it can't fly away. Yeah?
It's probably been specially trained to take a cyanide pill. It'll have hidden it in one of its massive wheel arches. Right, then I must end it now.
So when I get back to it, you think it'll be dead?
Completely.
Now, there's a company in America called SSC, and a few years ago they brought out a car called the Aero, which for a time was the fastest car in the world, verified by Guinness, faster than the Bugatti Veyron. Well, now they've come up with another new car. Got a picture of it here. We have no details at all, but we do know its name. It's called the Twatwaffle.
That's interesting. Is this going to be a rival for the new Pagani? What? The replacement for the Zonda. It's called the
Hurrah!
No, it's spelled Huyra. The
Hurrah!
Sounds
So
like
you've got a
you-
choice now, if you're a wealthy person, between the Twatwaffle or the Hurrah.
So car makers now naming their cars after the noises people make when they're punched in the stomach. The Lamborghini.
Good news! No, actually, it's not good news, it's just some news, OK? MG is back. This is the new car. Here it is. It's called the MG6. You can have it as a saloon or as a hatchback. It's supposed to be very modern in every way, but I don't think the factory where it's being made in Longbridge is modern at all, because got the press release they sent out here, and it says the first car was driven off the line by the only woman who works there.
It's not very modern, is it?
No.
Did they go on to say, and best of all, she has a smashing pair of knockers? Very modern.
No, don't tell me it says next, don't worry, chaps, we'll let her drive it off, but we won't let her park
Oh,
it.
God. Welcome to 1950.
The thing is, the car's gone away for some reason. That's not a joke. Now, the thing about this is, OK, we know that this is made in China by the Ling King, Wang King, Dong King, Nong King.
Them, yeah, them. Keep going, keep going.
Yes, yes, heavy corporation industry, right, OK? And then it's shipped over to Birmingham, where they fix an MG badge on it, OK, and then sell it. But they say in the actual brochure, which I've got here, it talks about Le Mans and breaking land speed records, right? And says the MG embodies British sporting style.
It doesn't.
No, it doesn't. I think the only British sportiness in that is the glue they use to fix on the badge is made from a dead British racehorse. That is the only sporty thing in that car, I reckon. Oh, now, wait a minute. It should have the press release, OK? They sent us, has got a typo on it. Here it is, look.
What?
Ian.
Yeah, MG Ian.
Oh, yeah.
I think this indicates the car will be a bit hit.
Might be complete rap. Absolute.
Lewis Hamilton, you may have heard, it's been in the news this week, saying that the national anthem is too short. And that when he's on the podium, he can't really milk the moment because it's over in 44 seconds. And he says it's not fair because when Massa wins, who's Brazilian, that national anthem goes on for 16 hours. So I've had an idea. Why don't we change our national anthem for Wish You Were Here, Pink Floyd? 27 minutes long.
Of hell.
It isn't hell.
No, hang on. But the problem isn't that ours is too short, it's that everybody else's is too long.
Well, the Greek one is 158 verses.
What?
It is 100. I promise you, the Greek national anthem is. How many times can you say we're completely screwed? So you're saying ours is too...
They're all too long. I think we could set an example to the world, actually, with the Olympics coming up in 2012, by making national anthems a bit shorter. We could get ours pared right down.
What? Send her, we hope she's victorious and lives a long time?
No, that's too long.
Not very long.
Is. I'm thinking more along the lines of... There you go.
What, so he gets up on the podium and then just...
exactly. Well, you'd have to have the roll on the drums so that people got ready. You know,
Well, that's quick, isn't it? I like it.
That is actually a brilliant idea. There is a new BMW M5. We can tell you several things about it. First of all, it'll cost £73,000. Secondly, it's based on the current 5 Series, which we think is one of the best-looking cars around. That looks even better. Thirdly, the engine, for the first time ever in an M5, is turbocharged because of some air problem. Carbon dioxide has to be cleaner. And it'll also, even though I haven't driven it, be fantastic to drive. I know that.
Hey, Will, actually, all M5s have always been fantastic. There's never been a bad one.
No, there hasn't. There's a lot on this as well, a lot of equipment. It's got a rear-view camera. It's also got a multimedia system that can bring up Facebook and Twitter.
I don't want one anymore.
Now, why would you want that on your dashboard? You're driving up the A1. Oh, look, Lily Allen's having sardines in Notting Hill. That's interesting. It's not relevant.
Is that necessary? I mean, do fighter pilots have Twitter on their dashboard?
Yes.
I'm locked onto target. I'm committed. Oh, hang on a second. Stephen Fry's just said something brainy about a play. Hold off. You don't need...
I really do think we get too much information when we're driving around now. I mean, those signs that say spray possible, which on a nice day in June, it isn't. And you know those posters, OK, that used to be adverts that said drink food and eat beer or whatever it is on them? Yeah, use toothpaste. Well, now they've made them electronic, and Sky News has got one, and it gives you snippets of news as you drive by. Now, I was driving past one the other day. It'd be OK if it was short, but it's quite long. So you're going, J.K. Rowling sacks agent after... Where are you going?
That's funny, I was driving down the A40 just after you the other day, and the headline was quite brief. It said, Clarkson has massive accident.
Mini recently announced, OK, a new car. It's called the Mini, inspired by Goodwood. Stupid name, stupid price. £41,000.
For a Mini?
For a Mini, 41 grand. However, Aston has now gone one better, OK? We've got this new car. It's called the Signet and Colette. And that's £43,000. 43 grand for that.
Hey, we should point out that is a Toyota IQ.
Yes, it starts out in life as an 11 grand Toyota. Aston Martin take the Toyota badges off, put Aston Martin ones on, price goes up to 31,000. They've now added the Colette badges, 43 grand.
So hang on, what do you get for that extra 12 grand on top then?
You need to look inside, because what you get are, here they are, 2 cushions.
Wait a minute. What is the Signet and Colette?
Signet and Colette sounds like lap dancing duo from Leeds.
An ice skating duo.
No, to be honest, we know that the Signet part is an Aston Martin Signet. It's the Colette thing. What is Colette? Because it sounds like a feminine hygiene product. I made a mistake.
Did you?
You get more than just the cushions. I do apologise. You also get quilted sun visors, some biscuits. I'm reading this out, I'm just quoting what you get. A guide to Paris, a plastic camera, an empty bottle, and 4 compilation CDs featuring bands such as the Morning Benders.
So basically they're selling you a small Toyota full of clutter.